How to stop worrying about your investments. All right. So this might not be applicable to some of you guys. So some of you guys might be in steady jobs. You might have big fat pensions. You might not even have a sense of worry anyway. You know what I'm saying? You might have no debt. If you have debt, you don't have a steady job, you don't have a big fat pension, you might worry about your investments. So I'm going to tell you what I did to stop that worry. All right, so I'm self-employed, and I make good money. But when you're self-employed, you don't know when the money's going to stop. You just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, ugh, what happens if? And you're like, what happens if I don't have enough cash? How do I pay the bills? Well, I have to sell investments. And what happens if the markets are down? It's not very fun thinking about that at night. You know what I'm saying? Especially when times get slow and you're like, ugh, could this be it? Could this be the straw that broke the camel's back where I got to start dipping into my investment portfolio? It's scary, dude. There's no other way around that. So I've been in stocks all my life except for a brief period about 2008. 2009 is what it was, 2009, when I was working at USA. I had just taken a job at USA, and I wasn't quite secure in my position. The little money we had, I said, I can't, the markets were going down. I said, the little money we had, I said, we got to just protect this money. So because I basically had no money, you know what I'm saying? I shared this story with you before, but I was all in stocks. I was borrowing on a credit card at 0% interest to invest in my Roth, all in VTI. And then the markets fell, my income fell, my job wasn't secure, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, on top of that, what I thought was 0% loans on my credit card guaranteed for the life of the loan, which is what I thought, because that's what it said. Apparently the small print said otherwise, and I'm now paying 14.99% on credit cards. That before I was paying 0%, and my minimum monthly payment wasn't even keeping up with the interest. And we just had 4 young kids, 2 were in brand spanking new babies and diapers. Wife wasn't working, and we had a mortgage, car loan, the whole thing. It was freaking scary, dude. No other way around that. And so basically, I sold all my investments to pay off my credit card bills. So my investments are down 50%. And I started my job at USA, and I first got down there, and it was like I wasn't secure for the job. I mean, I tell you, I was like, this could be bad. And it turned out to be great, but it could have been bad. So I said, I can't throw good money after bad in my 401k. So for the first time in my life, I ever had bonds. And then once my job became more secure, I quickly got back into stocks, 100% stocks. And I was like that for, basically forever. Until last year, when all of a sudden I had no cash because I had to pay pretty big taxes. We put a big fat deck, one of those Trex decks, screen-in porch with a deck on our backyard, which is fantastic. But I burned through all my cash there, had to pay taxes. So not only did I burn through my cash, I actually had to use my home equity line. I had some money against my home equity line. And so now I'm sitting there thinking, man. And then all of a sudden things got slow for me for a little bit. And I was like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? And I said, what happens if? What happens if things get slow? And I got to dip into my investment portfolio, a la 2008, and this is 2009 when it happened to me, because 2008, we just moved to Texas to take this gig, but it was in 2009, I was like, ugh. I said, what happens if, man, in 2008 when the markets are down 57% from top to bottom, and what happens if that's all the money I have and I still got debt and I don't have cash? So what I did is I went basically where I am right now. Is I'm very comfortable with this. I'm telling you, man, it's just I can sleep very, very well at night. I'm basically 40%, 20% cash, 20% long-term government bonds, and 60% VTI. I got a couple individual stocks in there as well. I'm probably 65-35. 65-35. So I probably got, 15% long-term government bonds, 20% and cash and money market cash, not just cash, but a money market cash at Charles Schwab, and the rest in VTI and a couple of individual stocks. And anytime I look at my portfolio, I don't look at my portfolio very much, but anytime I look at the markets, I said, if the markets go down, I'm feeling good because I get all that money in cash and long-term government bonds. And the long-term government bonds are clocking in. I'm getting about 4.5% rate of return just right now in terms of my yields. I'm getting a 4%, 4.5% yield. I'm just sitting on there waiting for the markets to pick back up for bonds. And they may or may not, I don't know. But hey, I'll clock 4.5% government guaranteed income. I'll take that. You see what I'm saying? I got no qualm with that. My money market is paying 5.3 over at Charles Schwab. I'll take that too. And so I'm like, all right, I'll take the interest, reinvest it, and reinvest it, and reinvest it. Hopefully I never need to tap into it. But then when the markets go up, I'm content that I got 2/3 of my portfolio in the market, which is going up. Not the whole thing, but it makes me feel good, man. I just say, okay, I got enough cash to pay the bills for about a year. If I need to tap into my government bonds, I got enough to pay that for enough cash, at least a year, I should say. Oh. Fire truck. Why is he going all so? It's weird. Anyway, I got enough cash. What I'm saying is I want to make sure I got enough income, enough cash to pay my bills for at least a year. That's where I'm going with this. And I do, by far. I got more than enough, which is great. I want to make sure on top of that, once I burn through the cash, that if I need to, I have more secure stuff, and long-term government bonds are pretty secure in terms of they're not going bankrupt. Now, I don't think the price is going to drop the way it did over the last 3 years, but it could be wrong. I don't see how that could possibly happen. So I'm pretty comfortable that my long-term bonds, while they're giving me a 4 to 4.5% yield, are also not going to fall much, if that makes sense. I'm very comfortable with that. And then I got my stocks for the long run. To quote Jeremy Siegel, got my stocks. So when the market goes up, I'm like, sweet, I got the perfect hedge. I got stocks going up. When the market goes down, I got enough cash and long-term debt to give me a cushion. Man, I don't even think twice about my portfolio. When I was all in stocks, though, I did. When the markets fell, I say, oh my goodness, could this be the straw that broke the camel's back? Could this be it? Could this be it? You know what I'm saying? I don't like feeling like that, dude. So the markets went down. I was like, ugh. When the markets went up, I said, man, now this is the time. You better, take some gains. I got sick of thinking like that. So I just finally did. I said, no. 65, 15, 10. No, 65, what is it? 65, 20, 15, something like that. I don't know off the top of my head. I might even be a little bit more in stocks, I'm saying, but certainly not more than 70%. But at the end of the day, 65, 20, 15, something like that. You see what I'm saying? And man, I sleep well at night. Anyway, if you're worried about your investments, that's something I would suggest you do. You got the best of both worlds. You got cash to cover your expenses if things go south. You got bonds to give you some yield and hopefully a little bit of upside too, which I think will happen. And they're a secondary source of income should you need once you burn through the cash. And then you got enough stocks to take advantage of a rising market if that continues to happen. It's great. Something to think about. All right, God bless. We'll see you.